America's long national nightmare is nearly over, which for comedians means the task of processing that national nightmare into jokes is nearly over. Thank Jesus. And Black grandmas. Here to talk more about that new comedy landscape is the host of NBC's Late Night with Seth Meyers, my buddy Seth Meyers. Welcome to the show, Seth.
It's wonderful to be here. Thanks for having me, Larry.
It's so great to have you on. Now that Trump is hopefully on his way out,
Yes.
do you feel a personal sense of relief since it was you and Obama DPing him at that correspondence dinner years ago that kind of started his whole origin story in the first place?
Yeah, man. It's a real trip. If you'd had told me when I walked off stage that night that people would still be talking about it almost a decade later, I would have assumed, oh, great. That's how good I did.
Yeah.
So it's strange that it's become a historical footnote. I will say it says something about the ego of a comedian that I still think I'd rather have killed and made Trump run for president than bombed.
Absolutely. But all joking aside, or still joking in there, when you look at Trump, I mean, it really does seem like an origin story, and it makes his whole presidency a little creepier. Like his whole getting rid of all of Obama's programs and things like that almost seem to come from that dinner in a sense.
Yeah, I guess there probably is some truth to the fact that whether it was that night or just the general piling on of those he wanted to stick it to, I do think vengeance drives him.
Yeah, it seems like there is that combination thing. Do you think Trump has fucked us as political comedians? Only in this sense, I mean, I'll say it like this, Seth, because there's so much fire when you go after Trump. I can't imagine, like, with Biden and Harris, that same kind of energy is going to go out there. Or do you just have to direct it at people like McConnell, that sort of thing?
Well, I mean, I think to some degree, look, sometimes there are, let's say you're a comedian, you go on stage and you have a heckler and you just crush the heckler, right? And it goes so well that that's the highlight of the show.
Right.
But if you're a good comedian, hopefully the next time you go out, you'll be able to succeed without that heckler there.
Yeah.
So I feel like Trump's been the crowd work heckler for the last 4 years.
Yes.
Now, and by the way, I know my writing staff feels this way. I'm sure your writing staff feels this way. I'm sure all our colleagues' writing staffs feel this way. Everybody's ready to flex their muscles and show to your aunt and your dry cleaner and all the people who have said the comedy must write itself. We're all desperate to let them know that we actually have been writing comedy, and hopefully post-Trump we can prove it.
Yes, there was a world before this where we did that,
Yeah.
Although, do you think it's a problem that a lot of our comedy is in a bubble? Do we need to check ourselves a little bit more with? I'll give you an example. Like, I don't think there were a lot of jokes coming at Obama, honestly, and I used to talk about this. The jokes about Obama I called flattery jokes. Like, when I told the joke of the White House correspondence, not to blow my own horn, but when it was about drones, it was like, oh shit, he slammed Obama and said, motherfucker, that's what we're supposed to do as comedians. Right. Yes, like, do you think that's a bubble issue?
I don't think it's a bubble issue as much as I think it's the target issue, right? I mean, even the fact that Obama wore a tan suit, Fox News talked about it for a week, right? Like at some point, the two people are different.
Yeah. This has been an extraordinary year in so many ways, 2020, as we're winding up with the election just being one of it. Like, I always wonder, when you look at the pandemic, I never in my wildest dreams, Seth, thought that would be a political issue.
Yeah.
Where do you think this not wear masks, like, where does that come from your standpoint? Because I can't pin it as a political issue. It doesn't make sense to me.
It's so strange because I was thinking, I'm lucky, you're lucky, that you and I don't put on a mask and think this is an infringement on my freedom.
Correct.
Right?
Correct. No.
So I'm not even putting it on saying, I hate this, but it's a sacrifice.
Right.
I'm thinking this seems to be the right thing to do. And now, obviously, there are people that do think it's an infringement on their freedom. I can't put myself in that headspace because, like I said, I don't have that feeling. It certainly didn't help that the president very clearly saw it as more masculine to not wear the mask. And there is that sort of, testosterone fueled support of his that I think was happy to jump on that idea.
you can't spell masculine without mask, right? Well, actually, that's not how that saying should go, Mr. President. Yeah.
That does sound like something that he would say.
Yes.
And then he would start spelling it that way on Twitter.
Exactly.
And then Pompeo would start spelling it that way. Pence would start spelling it. All of a sudden, masculine has a K.
Yes, exactly. One of the things that I am concerned about, Trump is staging an objection to this election. He's not giving in. Mm-hmm. What if the election gets overturned in some way? What if something, and I don't know the mechanism by which that could happen, but what if it does? 2020 could be setting us up to fuck us real bad right now.
2020 is a little bit like Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
Like, you never got it won until the whistle blows.
Yeah.
When you're playing against somebody like that, because 2020 has been the Patrick Mahomes of shitty years.
Yeah, I would assume that you're not a Chiefs fan if you're saying that, because that sounds like Patrick Mahomes fucked your team.
I'm worried he's going to fuck my team in the future.
Yes, exactly.
I'm a fan of his.
Yes.
But that's right. I'm not actively rooting for him.
Well, there you go, guys. Seth Meyers has compared 2020 to one of the greatest football players of our time. It makes sense. Well, let's hope that scenario doesn't happen. But I agree with you. We're going to have plenty of stuff to make fun of. And I think once the world resets, I think hopefully we'll forget about all that stuff.
I hope you're right.
But he may come back 2024.
I'm sure he will.